Hi guys, so we have past paper here. This is 2022 paper 1. So this paper is coming from the year 2022 GCE. Then this is paper 1. I'll start by answering the first 10 questions in this video. So the first question, we have evaluate 5 to the power 3 multiplied by 1 over 5 squared. So in order for you to answer this question, you need to have knowledge about indices. So this one is coming from a topic we call indices. So what are you supposed to do? So I'll write what we have been given, 5 to the power 3 multiplied by 1 over 5 squared. Then this will give us, so we're going to maintain the 5 to the power 3. Then from the laws of indices, when 5 squared goes on top, the power will change. So it will be 5 to the power negative 2. Then that will give us, when you have the same bases here, you maintain the base, then you add the powers, like that. So this will finally give us 5. Then positive times negative is a negative. 3 minus 2, it's a 1. So 5 to the power 1 is just 5. So the answer for this one is 5. Second question, expand and simplify that. So this is expanding double brackets on algebra. So what we basically do is that this 2a will multiply 3a. So 2a by 3a, we get 6a squared. Then the same 2a will multiply negative 4, then we'll get negative 8a. From there, the 3 will multiply 3a. So this will give us positive 9a. Then the same 3 multiply negative 4, so that we get negative 12, like that. Then in simplifying this, like terms together, the 6a squared will remain. So 6a squared will remain. Then what is negative 8a plus 9a? So here we just get 1a, but we just write it as a. So positive a. Then we have minus 12. So what we have here, just write it on your answer space here. So we have 6a squared plus a, then minus 12, just like that. So meaning, if you do that, meaning you've successfully answered that. We look at the third question. The third question, we have solve the equation 4x squared is equal to 9x. How do we go about this question? So the way we can go about this question is we can do this. So let's start by saying 4x squared, this, then the 9x will cross the equal sign so that it becomes 9x. Then we say it's equal to 0. Then from here we can factorize by saying x is common, then remain with 4x, then minus that side remain with a 9 is equal to 0. Now that we have factorized here, what remains now? It simply means x is equal to 0 and what is inside is also equal to 0. So when you have something like this, so let's say if we say AB is equal to 0, so where A and B are multiplying, this simply means A is equal to 0 or B is equal to 0. So here, what can we say? So now what we can say is that from our solutions, we can actually write x is equal to 0 or 4x minus 9 should be equal to 0. Then when 9 it's negative. When it crosses the equal sign, it will be positive. 4x is equal to positive 9. Then we divide by 4. Even here we divide by 4. The 4 cancels, the 4 cancels. So on the answer space here, we will say x is equal to 0 or x is equal to 9 over 4. So you can write it as an improper fraction, it's okay, or you can write it as a mixed fraction. So that is how you can go about this. We now look at the fourth question. Shade A intersection B complement intersection C on the diagram in the answer space below. Right, so how do we shade that one? Right, so the best way we can go about this is we look at what they've given us first inside the brackets. A intersection B, then with a complement. So they're saying whatever you're going to do, don't shade what is inside A intersection B. So this part should not be shaded. That part should not be shaded. Then let me show you here. So what I will do before I can actually draw the final one, I'm going to do this so that we can see how this set is gonna look like. So where we have A here, we have B here, and we have C there. Right? So now let me say this. We have that. Then now we want to shade. So now let me just change the color there. Alright, so A intersection B complement simply means apart from the intersection of A and B, but shade everywhere. So we're going to shade all these parts apart from the intersection of A and B. So that is what it means. That is what it means. So we have shaded this side. The only part we have left is this part. So now, what are we going to do now? So this is, we have done the first part here. We have done this part here, A intersection B complement. But we want to intersect it with C. So if we intersect that one with C, we know to say this is our C. So to intersect, you look for what is common. By the way, this part is also shaded. This part is also shaded. These are the only parts which are not shaded. So now we look for parts which are common in this set and in C. So you are going to realize that this part is shaded. So we are also coming to shade it here, because what I'm shading is also part of set C. Once that is done, we are also going to shade this part because it is shaded here. I'm going to shade it there also. So just like that, to be shaded. Then this part is equally shaded here. I'm going to shade it even there, just like that. So this part will be shaded. So which other part has remained? Nothing. So this is the final answer for the intersection of C with A intersection B complement. Right. So now question 4 has been dealt with. Now we look at the other question. Check for question 5. So that is question 5, and question is telling us to factorize completely that. So this is coming from algebra. It's coming from algebra. How do you factorize algebraic expressions? So these are 4 different expressions. So what we're going to do is that whenever you are faced with such kind of factorization, you group them. So you group them 2 by 2. So now in the first 2, we don't have anything common. But if we get this one and this one, we have something common. And if we get that one and that one, we have something common. So that's how I'm going to group them. So I'm going to say 2 2a b will be grouped with negative 2a y. Then positive x y will be grouped with negative b x. Just like that. Then from there now, we factorize the first two and the last two. In the first two, what is common? So in the first two, 2a is common, we remain with b. Then here we remain with minus y. In the last two, what is common? So we have positive x, x is common on both. Then what do we remain with? So now here we need to ensure that, then one thing that I forgot to add up is that we need to ensure that what you have here and in this other bracket should be the same. So if I get positive x to be common, what will remain will be positive y minus b. So now in this case here we started with the b is positive, the y is negative. So in order for me to have that, so I'm going to change that. So I'm going to say let's say I have just put something different, right? So now in here, instead of saying, in fact, let me even remove the plus there, right? So instead of saying positive x is common, I will say negative x is common. So I'll say negative x is common. So if negative x is common, then I'll say negative x into positive xy. We're going to remain with a negative y. Then I'll say negative into negative. This will give me a positive. Then x into x, it will be 1, but there is a b there, so the b will remain. Just like that. Now, I want you to observe what is happening there. What we have there is exactly the same. We have one and the same thing, but we just have to flip that. So how are we going to do that? So this is how we're going to do it. So I'm going to say this can also be written like this. So I'll do that. I have 2a, then here I've got b minus y, then there I've got negative x, then there this negative y plus b, I can start by writing the positive b, then the minus y there, so that I have one and the same thing in there. So the aim, whenever you are doing this type of factorization, the aim is to have the same thing here and in there. So now that we have the same things, we cancel one of them, then we group what is going to remain. So what will remain is, outside we have 2a minus x, we group them. Then the other one that has remained is b minus 1. So that is how you can do such kind of factorization. So that question has been dealt with. We go to question 6. So question 6 is a question on arithmetic. So how do we go about that question? A company declares an annual dividend of 6%. Then we are saying the value of each share is 25 kwacha. Mr. Mapesa has 500 shares. Find his annual dividend. How do we go about that one? So I have a formula that I use to find annual dividend. So I'll say annual dividend is given by, I have to look at the number of shares. So I'll say total number of shares. So this is what we have. Then this will multiply by the dividend percentage. So we have a percentage. Now percentage should be over 100. So we'll say over 100, then multiplied by the value of each share. So the amount per share. So we say amount per share, just like that. So from there we'll proceed to get the annual dividends. So the total number of shares, we have 500 shares. We've been told we have 500 shares. Then multiplied by the percentage is 6/100. Then multiplied by the amount per share, which is 25 kwacha. So now what are we going to do? So since this is paper 1 and we are not allowed to use a calculator, so we cancel the 2 zeros, even the 2 zeros are gone. We just multiply what remains. So here we multiply 5 multiplied by 6 multiplied by 25. So if you do that, what do we get? So we're going to get 5 times 6 is 30, 30 times 25, 3 times 25 is 75, you add a 0, you get 750. So 0.00. So 750. So that is the annual dividend. So that question has been dealt with. We look at another question. So now that was question 6. Now we have question 7 here. So this is a question on sequences. For the sequence 5, 12, 19, find the 60th term, the nth term. So the first thing that you should do before you can do anything is to identify or find out the type of sequence it is. Is it an AP? Is it a GP? So now, an AP has got what we call the common difference. If you check, what is the difference between 5 and 12? So if I have to move from 5 to 12, so the difference is 7. What is the difference between 12 and 19? So in order for me to move from 12 to 19, the difference again will be 7. So this one, it has what we call a common difference. Therefore, it is an AP to mean arithmetic progression. Right. So let's do this. So we have the common difference. So the common difference here, we're going to say we have these terms. So I'll say the second term subtract the first term. The second term is 12. The first term is 5. So if I say 12 minus 5, I get 7. So 7 in this case is my common difference. So now, if 7 is my common difference, I know to say the first term, which is given as A. So A to mean the first term, or you can say A1, the first term is 5. So 5 is the first term. So now, what they want us to find is the 60th term. So I'll say n should be equal to 6. So they want us to find the 60th term. So how do we go about finding the 60th term? So we'll start with the first one. So the first one, term number n. So in this case, it is the 60th term. So we can say term number n, the formula first for finding any term is equal to the first term, which is A, plus n minus 1, then d, where n is a term that you are looking for, then d is a common difference. So we're looking for term number 6. So T6 should be equal to, the first term is 5 plus n 60th term, 6 minus 1, then the common difference is 7. So how do we go about that one? So this will be 5, 6 minus 1 is a 5, then it's multiplying 7. So we're going to start with multiplication if we follow board mass. So this will be 5 plus 5 times 7, that gives us 35, and 5 plus 35 get 40. So the 60th term is 40. Then in order for us to find the nth term, term number n, how do we go about finding the nth term? This one is easier because we already have the common difference. So what we're going to do is this. So I'll say to find term number n, so nth term is given by first term plus n minus 1 d. So what they are telling you to do is substitute where there is a and d and just leave out the n. So to find the nth term here, I'll say term number 1, which is a, is a 5, then plus, here I'll say n minus 1, I leave it, then the common difference is 7. So that becomes 5 plus 7 will multiply through, it will be 7n, then minus 7, then items together. So I'm going to say 5 minus 7, and 5 minus 7 is negative 2 plus 7n. So now I'll start with a positive number. So the final answer here will be term number n is equal to 7n minus 2. So you can actually use this one to find any term that you are looking for. So for instance, we are looking for the 6th term. So if I put 6 where there is n, it will be 7 times 6, which is 42. And when we say 42 minus 2, we get this 40 here. So that's basically how you can go about that one. We have question 8. The distance between town F and G is A 8100 nautical miles. If a plane takes 18 hours to fly from F to G, find its average speed in knots. So now I want you to note they can ask you to find the average speed in knots or in kilometers per hour. So now, if our distance is in nautical miles, then the average speed will be in knots. Okay, so now this is what we're going to do. They want us to find speed, where we know that speed is equal to distance over time. Then our distance, we have been given distance, which is 8100, then divided by the total time, which is 18. So here, what is 18 into 8100? I think you can start dividing. You can say, because we know 9 can go into 18 and 9 can also go into 81. So from there now, what I can do is that I know 9 into 18 here, 9 into 18 is 2, 9 into 81 is 9, then 2 into 2 is 1, 2 into 90, not into 9, 2 into 90 is 45, then I add a 0 so that it becomes 450. So the final answer becomes 450 knots. So that is our speed in knots. So I just write it here. So my speed is 450 knots. Then town B is east of town A. When it is 11 hours at B, it is 07 hours at A. Find the difference in longitudes between the town A and B. We find the difference in longitudes between town A and town B. How are we going to go about that one? So we do this. Time difference. So time difference is given by theta over 15. Now, what we are looking for is a difference in longitudes, and which is a degree. So we're going to say cross multiply, then theta is equal to time difference multiplied by 15. So now, what is the time difference? The difference between, now let's take it out. The same town B is east of town A. When it is 11 hours at town B, it is 7 hours at town A. So what we are simply looking at here is something like this, where we have town A here to town B. So where this is 11 hours, then we have 7 hours here. So the difference from A to B, between A and B, we just say 11 minus 7. And when we subtract 7 from 11, we get 4 hours. So we'll say 4 hours multiplied by 15. Then what is 4 hours multiplied by 15? We get 60 degrees. So the difference in longitudes is 60 degrees. So that one is the answer for question 8, both A and B. Then we now proceed, we look at question 9, check what we have in question 9. It's not that clear, but hopefully you'll be able to see. So question 9. Question 9, we've been given that, the matrix C is that, find C transpose. I think that is one of the simplest. How do you find the transpose of a matrix? So to transpose a matrix, I'll just go direct to finding C transpose. C transpose is equal to, so if you're transposing a matrix, we are just changing the rows into columns and the columns into rows. So this matrix has got 3 rows and we're going to change them into columns. So the first, that one that we have, the first row will become a column, which is 7 and 3. The second row will also become a column, 1 and 4. The third row will also become a column, 2 and 5. So this process, as you are changing the rows into columns, the columns automatically are also changing into rows. So that is how you can go about that. No wonder it's been given a single matrix. Expressed as a single matrix, we have this. So this is matrix multiplication. How do you multiply matrices? How do you multiply matrices? We have that. We have 1, 8 there. Then we also have 0, 2, -1, and 5 there. So how do we multiply these matrices? To multiply a matrix, we do row by column. So you multiply the row with the column. So this is the row and this is a column. So the row of the first matrix with the column of the second matrix. So 1 multiplied by 0, we get a 0, and we say plus 8 multiplied by 2, we get 16. So that is what we have. Then we move to the other side, we multiply with this other column. 1 multiplied by -1, we are going to get -1 plus 8 multiplied by 5, we get 40. So I'm going to write them like that. Then here I'll say what is 0 plus 16. So 0 plus 16 is just 16. Then -1 plus 40, we get 39. Like that. So I'll write it here to say that our final answer is 16 here and 39 there. That is our final answer. So that is how you can multiply matrices. You just do row by column. Alright, so we're going to look at question 10, which is the last question for this video. Then proceed again in the next video with the remaining questions. So we have question 10 there, part A and part B. So we start with part A, the probability of Kasukulu waking up late is 0.3. What is the probability that she will wake up early? So now, one thing you should know about probability is that whenever you add two probabilities, so when probability can never be greater than 1 and it won't be less than 0, so it will be in between 0 and 1. So now we are saying the probability of waking up late, so I'll say the probability of someone waking up. So waking up late, I'll say WL. If we add it, the probability of someone waking up early, I'll say WE. When you add these probabilities, the final answer should be 1. Then this, they are saying the probability of Kasukul waking up late is 0.3. So for waking up late, it's 0.3. Then what is the probability that she will wake up early? That we don't know. So the 0.3 will cross the equal sign. So remain with the probability that she will wake up early, and this will be 1 minus 0.3. What is 1 minus 0.3? We get 0.7. So 0.7 is the probability that she will wake up earlier. So we have 0.7. We proceed. The following diagram shows a sector POQ of radius, that's 6 centimeters. Angle POQ is equal to theta, and the area of the sector is 24.2 square centimeters. Take pi to be 22/7. They give us pi as 22/7 because we're not supposed to use a calculator. Then find the value of theta. So how do we find theta? First things first, they have given us the area of a sector. So how do we find the area of a sector? Area of a sector is given by theta over 360 multiplied by pi r squared. That's how you find area of a sector. Then what are we saying here? So now, since we already have the value of the area of the sector, in this case we have 24.2, then theta we don't have, over 360, then multiplied by what? The pi, 22/7, multiplied by the radius squared. So what is our radius now? Radius is 6. This is our radius, so it will be 6 squared, and 6 squared, we know it's 36, but let me write it as 6 squared. Then from there, how do we simplify that? So whatever remains here is just, it has to do with simplifications. So here we're going to say that we can divide some numbers. We can say we can cancel some numbers. We can say 2 into 22 is 11. Then we also say maybe, so let's see the numbers that we can put into there. So we have 22, 7 down, then we have 36 there. Right, so it's better off I get the 36 there so that I can cancel it with the 360 which is there. So I can just say 36 into 360. That would be better. So 6 squared is 36, so I can say 36 here is 1. 36 into 360 it's 10. This will be easier. Then I can say 2 into 22 is 11. Then 2 into 10 is 5. Then from there I know to say I've got theta by 11. So I'll have 11. Then I've got a 7 down and a 5. So what am I going to do? So I can simplify that by saying 5 times 7 is 35. So I'm going to have 11 over 35. Then there is a theta there. Then from there now, I can simplify that by saying this will be over 1 cross multiply. Then 11 theta will be equal to 35 multiplied by 24.2, then divide by 11. Even this side we divide by 11. So the 11 will go, the 11 will go. Then what remains now is we simplify this. Now this might take some time, but it's easier. You can solve this. So now what I'm going to do is, in the interest of time, since we know for A we found 0.7, So in the interest of time, if you multiply these two and divide by 11, you should get the theta to be 77 degrees. So you should get theta to be 77 degrees. So the value of theta should be 77 degrees.